Blending powder.
Okay guys, so this is me and Lori. We're gonna be testing out the blending powder because as you guys know it's toxic. Bro, you're gonna get cancer. Take it to the next. It stinks so bad.
Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share the video. You can support uncensored conversations via Cash App or buying your girl a coffee. Hey y'all, I just want to pop in here and have a conversation about this new expose that's come out about Starbucks. Now, if you guys didn't know, a couple of different employees have come out and talked about the blending powder that they're being asked to use inside of some of their newer drinks. Honestly, this is disturbing. It's disturbing on so many levels, but this is only the tip of the iceberg. There are so many different additives and mixing agents and all sorts of stuff that is found in our food that we are none the wiser to. And unfortunately, our so-called governing bodies that are supposed to regulate these things to make sure that we're not being poisoned by these companies, they are doing the exact opposite. They're not regulating anything. They're allowing any and all things to be in our food. And it's really concerning because we give so much trust to these companies, especially when it comes to our food and what we eat. And the very least, okay, at the very least, they can just be honest with us when it comes to labeling food for what it is. Take, for instance, butter. You have all these different companies that are trying their damnedest, okay? They are trying their damnedest to not tell you what the butter is actually made of and hide behind different sneaky labeling tactics and such, when really it's not real butter. It's not made with real cream and salt. It is made with all sorts of weird byproducts that they get from other things that they're making.
Some of these yellow blocks contain zero milk. Some are made from the same oils that were designed to lubricate engines. And some, and you're not going to love this one, are being chemically synthesized from fossil fuels in labs in the United States. Butter has a federal standard. The FDA requires that any product labeled butter must contain at least 80% milk fat from cream, maybe some salt, and that is it. These standards exist to prevent fraud. They are called standards of identity. Think of them as legal guardrails that stop companies from selling margarine while calling it butter. And for over a century, this system worked exactly as intended. But then something changed. Companies figured out that if they do not call their product butter in the legal sense, they can still use the word as a category descriptor. About 90% of cheese sold in America today is made with genetically engineered enzymes. Traditional rennet comes from the stomach of nursing calves. The GMO version inserts the calf gene into fungus, bacteria, or yeast. Then they ferment it in industrial tanks to mass produce the enzyme. The label just says enzymes. So unless someone buys USDA organic cheese, which prohibits GMO enzymes, there is no way of knowing what went into making that cheddar.
Unfortunately, the FDA and all these other organizations that are supposed to be protecting us, they allow them to masquerade as products that they simply are not. And so you're in the grocery store, you're shopping around, and you think you're buying something face value, that it says what it is. Whole time, whatever you're buying has not seen a cow, okay? There's no moo in your butter. I want you guys to understand that this is just the tip of the iceberg, but this is a very blatant example of the problem. One of the issues with this blending powder, I'm gonna start from the top down. One of the issues with this blending powder is that you are putting your employees at risk. Now, with any job, there's going to be risk. Oh, let's be serious. Risk should be mitigated. Risk shouldn't be present where it does not need to be present, okay? If you're making a smoothie where you're using berries and fruits, some milk and yogurt, and maybe some sugars, it shouldn't be this thing where if you're inhaling whatever it is that you're putting in the smoothie, that it's making it so that you can't breathe. This is what I'm talking about. You don't have to add all this extra stuff into the drink for it to be tasty and delicious. Absolutely not. When you go in for a smoothie, you're expecting, like I said, fruits, berries, milk, yogurt, a little bit of sugar. Like that's what you're expecting. Maybe if you super health conscious, you want some spinach in there, some kale and all sorts of stuff. But what I'm saying is when you go out for a smoothie, you're not expecting a science project. You're not expecting them to be sitting there, measuring out chemicals and then whipping it together in a certain manner in order to make your drink. No, that is not what you're expecting. And when you have these workers in a chaotic environment, because understand, Starbucks is busy, especially around certain times in certain areas. Starbucks are busy and you're whipping up these drinks, and apparently they have a 4-minute rule where you need to get their drink out within 4 minutes after they order it. And so you're whipping drinks up, you're moving fast, you're dumping powder, doing this, doing that, and you're inhaling all of these toxins into your body. Yes, you could say, well, they signed up for that job, they take on the risk. And while I agree that jobs do inherently come with risk, maybe the risk shouldn't be like an unnecessary one. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand the risks of, let's say you go into construction, you're climbing up on top of buildings. Yes, there is a risk that you could fall down. Now, if they tell you that you now have to climb that building in high heels, well, now you're just unnecessarily increasing the risk for that construction worker. And this is essentially what they're doing with this blending powder. A smoothie is perfectly fine without it. It does not need, this blending powder to make it stick together. No, when you order a smoothie, it should be common knowledge, and maybe it's not because the education system is trash, but it should be common knowledge that it's going to separate. It should be common knowledge that this is a beverage you need to drink right away, not something that you let sit and then come back to later. Even if you put it in the fridge or the freezer, it's not going to be exactly what it was when you first got it. We all, as conscious consumers, should recognize this, and we don't need a company to come in and be like, we're gonna fix this problem that's not really a problem by adding a bunch of science experiments to your beverage. And now you have these workers inhaling this powder, and who knows what this powder is doing to their bodily function.
A lot of people have been commenting that everyone is stupid and fear-mongering because there is silica in everyday household food product. While that is true, the exposure risk from an everyday food product versus the volume of food product that a Starbucks barista is handling is what makes the difference, the exposure risk, actually like a risk. Because think of like spice or like just very little things like flour, you're just using little bits, it's just a little, and it's just a one-time thing. Now when a barista is on hold bar, especially during peak, they are at that position for 1 to 2 hours. So they are making these drinks for 1 to 2 hours. This is roughly the size of an inclusions container from Starbucks, and this is roughly the size of a scoop. This is a tablespoon. When I worked at Starbucks, we would go through 3 to 4 vanilla bean blending powder inclusion containers per day. So I can only imagine how much of is getting in a barista's lungs because summer. Everyone wants a blended drink. Did y'all see the video of the baristas who threw away this blending powder and it kept erupting out of the garbage can like dust for like minutes on end? Yeah, that's staying in the air. It doesn't matter. They didn't need to make this blending powder. They had the cream base right there that would keep everything together. They made this blending powder. It was over-formulated with way too much silica, or it was contaminated. And now these baristas are starting to get occupational asthma.
We're gonna fast forward 50 years, not 50, we're gonna fast forward 20 years, and you're gonna see a commercial or an ad pop up on your TV, pop up on your refrigerator, because they're doing that now, pop up on your freaking car, telling you if you were ever a Starbucks employee and inhaled that blending powder, you have a case. We're gonna see those cases start popping up, because there's no way you're supposed to be inhaling all of that nonsense into your body. Now let's think about that from the consumer aspect. You go in and you order a smoothie. Like I said, you're expecting something very specific, but now they've given you a science experiment. Who knows what the repercussions are of taking in all of this additive, blending powder, nonsense byproduct that they got from something else, but they don't want to just throw it out and charge it to the game. No, they need to make money off of it somehow because they don't want to let any waste not go without a profit. it. Be so for real here. We have no idea what that's going to do to our bodies after digesting all of this nonsense over a lifetime. We have no idea. We really need to give an applause to all of these different Starbucks workers that are coming out and telling the truth. They're telling their stories and they're risking it all, okay? They're risking their job to do so. We need to protect whistleblowers. Now, that is something that I do want to talk about maybe in a later video, because the way y'all treat whistleblowers really does piss me off. Whistleblowers keep us safe, okay? If only there were more whistleblowers when Epstein was doing his thing. If only there were more whistleblowers with Harvey Weinstein, R. Kelly, all these weirdos, P. Diddy. If only there were more whistleblowers, the world would be a much better place. But guess what? If we are not out here ready to protect said whistleblowers, then what do we expect? What we can expect is for more things like this to happen, for these companies to continue to play in our face, for these politicians to continue to play in our face, for these celebrities to continue to play in our face, for all these elitists to continue to play in our face if we do not protect whistleblowers. So shout out to all of the Starbucks employees that put this out there. Y'all are the real ones. And at this point, if you have heard about the blending powder and you know it's in there and you still continue to order that drink, that's on you. I'm sorry. At that point, that is a personal choice to consume that product. It's one thing if you're going in blind and you have no idea, you hear a smoothie and you think berries, yogurt, and sugar. I understand. I understand. I have sympathy, empathy for. But if you know that they're putting a bunch of crap in your drink and you still go to drink it, we've located Boo Boo the Fool. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. We know who Boo Boo the Fool is, and it's you. But y'all, I am curious to hear you guys' thoughts down below. How do you feel about this whole situation when it comes to not just Starbucks, because they're not the only ones, with all these companies poisoning us, adding a bunch of random stuff that does not need to be in our food just because they want to profit off of their waste and cut down their costs. How do you guys feel about that? And what do you do in order to avoid all of the nonsense? How do you avoid all of this processed, weirdo, science experiment, eugenic? I don't even know. I'm just trying to pull all the little words that I know to describe this freak show of food that we're being forced to eat. I am curious to hear you guys' thoughts down below. If you like the video, The more you interact with it, the more it gets pushed out into the algorithm. Also, hype the video if that's for you. I'm sorry, let me go back and do it with the accent. Hype the video if that's for you, okay? If it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, it's not. And if you're feeling a little extra generous, the link is in the description to buy your girl a coffee. Thank you guys so much, and I will see y'all with the next one. Deuces.